Hello everybody and welcome to episode 4 of Bizarro Style. Today we are talking about DC Legends, how we can make the game better, and hopefully how the developers can add some more features more or less to make the overall game more playable, a better game in general I should say. I'm joined by my lovely co-host Bizarro.
Hello.
There he is in all his splendor and glory. So we have a couple of topics, a list that we actually made for us to go through as to how to make the game better. Hopefully our community can help us help the developers by watching this video and giving them different suggestions on what we can do.
And the video is going to be an hour and a half long, being it's how to improve the
game. Imagine. But no.
Not really.
Not really. He's just kidding. So just a short video, as short as possible, but we have a few topics here. What's the first thing that they can fix about the game, Bizarro?
So what I did was I wrote down a list by the different modes in the game, and so I figured we can just go through the different modes in the game. And the first one, and these are not in any particular order, but the first one I had on the list, I guess because we're literally 2 minutes from raids ending right now, was I have raids on the list. And I think we could start there with how to improve the game, talking about raids.
Right, so this raid, I couldn't participate too much in this raid, but the raids have been kind of an issue recently. The past raid was not too bad, it was actually pretty good, the one that we had before this one. But
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, a lot of desyncs, basically a lot of crap going on. In raids.
Crap is the technical term.
Exactly. I mean, I can't list each and every problem because everybody's having different problems. But for me, the biggest issue is the sync issue. What about you, Bizarro?
It's the same. When you're trying to collect rewards from legendary bosses, the game will either restart or you'll go to a black screen. And in fact, I noticed when I'm collecting rewards, I'm often not getting the rewards I was supposed to get. So I'm not sure what happened between the last raid and this raid, because as you said, I thought the last raid was pretty good, and I sometimes joke that they're trying to get us to quit. They just don't want to do it anymore, so they want us to quit.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, honestly, I don't get these developers. They punish you for upgrading your characters. They punish you for raids. Like, what's going on here? Like, honestly, this game, it kind of amazes me in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, I try to be pretty forgiving. I remember I was a computer science major back in the 90s, and I was learning how hard it is to code, and so I tend to be a little bit forgiving when I see that kind of stuff. But, you know, after you've had several months to work on it, it sort of becomes unforgivable. So, so we don't get off topic, but I think we should talk about how to improve it. What will make raids better? And obviously, the first thing is fix the problems. But I think, you know, even deeper than that, we could talk about what we think would make raids better. And if you don't mind, I'll start with one of my suggestions.
Absolutely, go right ahead.
So one of mine would be the way that legendary boss sharing works. And I mentioned this in another video, but the way I would do it is, once I get a legendary boss, I should be able to hit that boss one time myself and before it auto-shares. And then before it auto-shares, I should be able to share it with my alliance, and they should be able to get a chance to hit it. And then it can auto-share, because that should be one of the bonuses of working with your alliance and allowing them the chance to do it too.
Right, that was going to be my point, where you stole it from me, but that's fine. And I agree with you. That's 100%.
What I did is I cheated off your work.
Exactly. But yeah, he and there, I lost my train of thought. But that's fine. I agree with you 110%.
Our brains are not 100% after 4 days of raids.
I know, right? And that's the one thing I want to touch on. Raids are a bit too long, don't you think? I think 3 days is the perfect sweet spot. And
I,
yeah, go
I
ahead.
agree because, I originally thought the 4-day thing was to allow the developers a couple of days to identify any problems that were happening in the game. But this this raid demonstrates that is not the case, because we had problems right at the outset once legendary bosses appeared, but they seemed to go home for the weekend, and rest pretty well. So that was a little frustrating. So I agree with you now. I do think it should be shortened by a day.
Yeah, I mean, 3-day raids are perfect. They can start on Friday and they can end like late Sunday night. I mean, like I was at work, because I couldn't participate as much as I usually do, and yeah, I like what they are doing. Okay, let me actually touch on this a little bit more. I like how they're giving people the option that, okay, we have 4 days just in case you can't make a day, but at the same time, I don't like it because people are busy. You know what I mean? So if they know that, okay, it's only on the weekend. Some people are busy on the weekend too. One of our officers, he works on the weekend, so I can see both sides of it. But
Yeah.
for me, the perfect sweet spot is 3 days. But yeah, raids. I mean, nothing more I can say about raids. Pretty much, we had the same idea.
I agree with you too on the number of days, because the first day, as low value as the bosses are, you can make a little headway on the milestones, but it's kind of a wasted day given the low value. And in fact, this time I saved most of my energy for the other days, knowing the bosses are worth more.
Right, I agree with you. Yeah, the first day I didn't attack much at all because I was like, well, I might as well wait for day two, because day two is going to be better, and day three even better, and day four. They should honestly, they should have a system where like it's off to the races from day one. You know.
Yes.
But anyway, let's get to our next thing that they can
Yeah.
fix.
So the next mode I had written down was PvP, or the Wraith. And I don't, I was going to ask you, I'm wondering how much we should talk about it, because we have done another video pointing out some of the problems with Wraith, but maybe we can be more prescriptive this time, because in that other video we didn't really give a lot of feedback on how to improve Wraith system.
Yeah, that video was mostly about how the PvP system is broken. What my suggestion would be to get rid of the star system. That would be my suggestion. That's the only way, like how it used to be before. That's the only way they can fix it as to how it used to be before, and if they want to work out a whole system entirely, that's up to them. But
Right.
according to me, get rid of the star system, and their tunes, I would say they're more balanced than before. As you compare the Baby Lobo and Deathstroke combo, or the Wonder Woman AoE meta, if anybody remembers, if any of our alliance mates have been here for that long. I think some of them have, so. But other than that, that's what comes to my mind as to how they can improve. Any thoughts or suggestions, Bizarro?
Well, I had heard a suggestion of making the points that you get based on the strength of your opponent's team, rather than the distance between your team and your opponent's team. So, in other words, once you start getting above 30,000, you get 13 to 20, regardless of how powerful your team is. And they'd obviously have to set some parameters there, but basically giving you points based on the strength of your opponent, and not based on the distance between you and your opponent.
Right, yeah. That's a good idea. That can work. I can see that working. But
The other thing that I think is, one correction I'd like to see is with regard to revives, because right now you're penalized for using any character that uses revives. And the way I would fix it is by saying that you get a number of revives equal to the number of revives that the computer got. So if the computer revives one time during the match, I should be able to get one revive without penalty the number of stars I get in the match. Otherwise, it's what is the point of revive characters for PvP?
I concur completely, but knowing the devs, that's never gonna happen. Between you and me,
It's just too complicated.
yeah. I mean, it's not. I mean, I wouldn't say it's too complicated, but
For them.
no. Bizarro here taking a jab at the devs.
Sorry, I'm
Devs, we love you. Don't take this out of like Bizarro's having a little bit of a downer, I should say today.
I'm grumpy today.
Yeah, he loves you too. So
Me, I'm not grumpy.
exactly. We love the devs, and we just want this game to succeed. We want it to be the turn-based strategy game on mobile, basically. And
I agree with that. I mean, I really do. I mean, we've stuck with the game a long time for that reason.
yeah, and we've put in our hard-earned money into the game. We've given the devs a lot of leeway, and we continue to do so because we know how swamped they are and how hard they work. But anyway, not to sidetrack too much. Yeah, I agree with you. Like for revives, like right now, like revives are in a bad place. Like say for example, I want to take my Solomon Grundy, or if I want to take Lobo, or even if I want to take Doomsday.
White
I'm
Lantern
like,
Sinestro.
exactly, White Lantern Sinestro. I'm like, okay, this match is not going to be a 3-star match, which is why, coming back to my point, they need to finish the star system altogether. But yeah, anyway, anything you need to add on before we go?
No, I was going to ask you the same thing. I think we could move on to Red Alerts. Was the next one I had on my list.
Awesome. So why don't you talk a little bit more about Red Alerts?
So the one obvious thing that has to happen with Red Alerts is we have to change over the rewards in terms of which characters you can get fragments for. That has been the same since, I don't know, maybe it's the dawn of time, but it is time to change these over because it gets very stale and makes doing Red Alerts more of a chore.
Right. Yeah, Red Alerts for me right now is a chore as well. Like, I haven't, ever since this raid started, I haven't done any Red Alerts, to be honest. And it's like, you have that there in the background where on regular days it's okay. You're like, okay, I do my PvP, I do my PvE, I do my Red Alerts, but honestly, it's more of a chore. The rewards don't seem that worth it once you're high level. If all your characters are level 70, gear 11, it kind of like defeats the purpose. You're like, okay, I'm spending this much time on this while I can be, say, getting packs, or I can, get more gold from somewhere else. They need to rework the reward system in that entirely. Like the last node should be able to give you like 50 fragments of a character, Well,
I think, and I think if they do that, because they added the feature of being able to refresh Red Alerts, if the rewards are better, I would be more inclined to spend gold to refresh them. But even going back to not changing over the characters, I'm not going to spend my gold to get characters that I have so many fragments of because of the lack of rotation of characters.
That's a brilliant idea. That's a brilliant idea that you've had, yeah. Refresh the page, get more rewards. You beat the second wave, refresh the page, get more rewards,
Yeah.
It's a good system. It's a very good system. And Wales would be very thrilled with that.
And you can make it get harder each time, but you have to pay for it, but it's harder and harder.
Yeah, but not too hard that you can't finish it in the end.
Hey, that's the breaks, man. I see people who complain about, I can't finish my Red Alerts, and I remember that frustration as a junior player, and now I almost long for that again because it's gotten so easy that it and the lack of challenge makes it where you don't really look forward to it. So when we did the Red Alerts video, if you remember, I said enjoy it while you can because the challenge is supposed to be fun.
Right. And I think I'm pretty much done for the Red Alerts part. We can, unless you have something to add, we can move on.
No. So why don't we move on to campaign mode, which campaign is basically the PvE or player versus computer mode where you are going through the storyline. Why don't you start there with the campaign mode? Because I know what I think.
Right, and by player versus computer mode, you know that Bizarro is old because we say AI. But anyway, no,
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I am old.
He's not that old. But yeah,
Ancient. In
player.
my day,
But yeah, player versus computer, like Bizarro likes to call it. They need to expand more on. Okay, I love reading DC comics. Right, their comics are so good. They need to add some story, a better storyline, I should say. You know, their storylines versus Necron in the upcoming, say, new character of the month are laughable. You know what I mean?
yeah.
They are absolutely laughable. They're even worse than the newspaper comics. You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah.
so it's like they need to.
And it's amazing because the whole story is based off of Blackest Night, and after Blackest Night, you have Brightest Day, which would make a natural continuation of the storyline for a more advanced campaign mode. Or even stories like you're referring to, when they introduce a new character, they could be somehow coordinated or leading into Brightest Day.
Right. That's a very good suggestion. And the thing is that how many times are we going to face off Necron? I mean, we defeated him in the last node on the last battle, which is like it gives you Black Adam fragments, if I'm correct. It's like we've defeated him there. We defeat him in the heroics, not heroics. Yeah, in Wraith, and it's like, okay, this guy's like unkillable. He keeps coming back.
The Salman Grundy of the.
More like Doomsday, because Solomon Grundy. Well, yeah, Solomon Grundy. Yeah, I
He
agree.
always returns on a Monday, if I recall.
Yeah, and it's like we need better stories. More than anything, okay, if you're not into story, that's fine. More than anything, we need more chapters, and we need the rewards to be reworked for all the chapters. We need, I would say, meta character fragments instead of all these other character fragments. Leave the old characters to the alliance packs and whatnot, the ones that you get from alliance energy, and the new characters, or I should say the meta characters, can be in these story missions, and you can just like farm them from there. So that and the rewards should be better. Yeah.
Well, one thing you just mentioned that I think they have done a good as of recent is they did start rotating the character fragments more in the alliance and PvP packs, and I am glad to see that, because that was another area where it was getting stale. So I'm glad to see the attention being paid to rotating characters there.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that too. I remember I was texting you and I was like, I was happy that they added Red Hood in there, and then the week after they took him out, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
I mean, I enjoyed that too. I would get so excited when I would see his fragments for purchase in the shop.
yeah, he's good. He's underrated. He's good. Yeah. If left unchecked, he will take out your blues.
So one last one I had on my list was the upgrade event. These are the events where you can get gear mats to upgrade your characters that rotate each night, and they follow a set schedule on the 7-day schedule. So why don't we talk about upgrade events and how to improve those?
Yeah, why don't you start this one off?
So what I would say is my big frustration with the upgrade events, how clear it is that there are certain gear mats that are the ones that are a lot more rare. And at the end of the day, all you're doing is grinding for those particular gear mats. And they need to even it out a little bit more, because it gets frustrating having one particular gear mat that's needed for all your level 11 gear, and you need practically 30 to 50 of them for each gear. That I understand the point that it is a grind that you're supposed to spend, but it's a little much. They need to even it out a little bit more on those gear mats and what's given out by the computer.
Right, and this keeps hitting on our point here. Better rewards. The reward drops. The drops need to be more, and the rewards need to be higher. Say, for example, if you need a level 3 gear mat, like instead of the AI giving you like 7 level 3 gear mats, make it give you at least 12 or 15 Like make the
Yeah,
drops more so that we can more easily level up our. And I agree with Bizarro. It's supposed to be a grind, but it isn't supposed to be a gold fest where you're just spending your gold
yeah.
frivolously just to get those what do you call it, mats. But yeah, no, I mean not much can be said about that.
And
Um,
even the subtle difference you just mentioned, upping it by 5 or something like that, that would make a big difference. It seems small, but it would make a big difference in the long run, especially as this game has gotten, it's in its more mature phase for how long it's been around. More people are going to be grinding for that stuff.
yeah,
So
more people.
make the small adjustment.
Exactly, I agree with him. More people are going to be grinding for it, and uh, please, guys, please advertise the game because a lot of people don't even know this game exists. I went with a good friend of mine this year to Fan Expo here in Canada. It's the Comic Con version of a New York Comic Con, but here in Canada we call it Fan Expo. But it's the same thing. It's a comic book convention, and he was talking to me about Marvel Strike Force, and I was like, "Well, have you tried DC Legends?" And he was like, "Oh, there's a game. DC has a game like that." And I'm like, "Yeah, dude, it's been out for like 3 years now, almost." So please advertise your game. I cannot say that enough. Like
Yeah.
advertising is huge for
Tie it
people.
into the shows, tie it into the movies. They do that with a lot of the new characters they introduce, but do it the other way around, where they advertise it on the Teen Titans show. If you're introducing
Exactly.
Ravager, the fans might be interested.
Oh yeah. I mean, introduce it at the end of every DC movie. Like we had Joker at the end. You could have, or even before the movie starts, they can drop like a 30-second trailer for DC Legends. You know,
Yeah,
but I guess they have their own strategies, and you know how Warner Brothers is. So I'm not gonna say much more on that. But yeah, any more suggestions that you would like to add? I actually have one more after this, but I'll let you go first, Bizarro, since I've been doing.
I didn't have any more. I think we wanted to keep the video short. So
Yeah,
let's hit yours,
I just
and
have one short one. Yeah, before we close out. So the thing I had in mind was alliances versus alliance wars. Okay, now this can be a new mode that can be added, and similar to raids. I mean, in raids, all the alliances are competing against each other anyway, so it kind of is like an alliance war, but not at the same time. This mode can have basically Uber rewards, a lot more than raids, and instead of fighting bosses, what you can do is you can fight other enemy players on different nodes. So you have a whole map of nodes, and you have, say, for example, our alliance that is in there, and you can face our top 4 players. And then after you defeat us, you go to the next node, and then say you can have, for example, UJLA's alliance's top 4 players, or you can have, say, the Court of Owls after that, or you can have Siphon's alliances players. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
alliances all battling for like basically super rewards. I don't know how they will do that or how the rewards might be, but a lot of games they have this. Like I mentioned, I came from Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, so they have this concept, and each month alliances battle each other out on that game, and it's fantastic. I mean, you have all the I would say intrigue and drama going on, kind of like Game of Thrones. Although they're all nice to one another,
right.
it makes the game more interesting and fun.
I like that suggestion.
Yeah, it'll be very cool if that happens, if they implement it. But yeah, those are my final closing thoughts. So, any thing you need to add on or elaborate to Bizarro?
No, I think we wanted to keep this, casual. So the one last thing I would say is we want to hear your suggestions, what our audience thinks should be added to the game. So drop it in the comments section. We'd love to see what you think.
Absolutely. Drop it in the comments section. Let's talk about this in the community center in game if you are on there. And please let the devs know. And yeah, keep doing what you guys are doing. And remember to subscribe to the channel. Me and Bizarro would love that. And yeah, guys, we will see you all next time.